can go ahead and grab a seat. We'll get this show rolling. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Lance Wright. This is my home. I just want to welcome you all for coming and congratulate you for investing your time, your Saturday mornings and your business. And at this point, I'm going to hand it over to my wife, Christy.
Good morning. We're so glad you guys came. We've got so much really great information to cover today, so get your pens and your paper ready. We're going to actually highlight the oil this month. Some people were saying we're really hungry on learning more about, instead of just a little 2-second snippet, but really learning about these oils so that we can take this information back. When we teach a class, we can share some deep information. We want to know about, the chemical constituents. We want to know about these things. We're hungry for information. I told Emily Wright and I talked to Dr. Hill when we were in Mexico, and I said, you guys don't stop feeding us full of this information because we want to know. We're not checking out when you start talking about chemicals, and we're not checking out when you start talking about where you're sourcing these oils and the people that live there and the communities that we're impacting. Keep telling us because we're hungry. So we're going to start doing some of that here also, okay? So we're going to do that this morning. We're going to get to talk about the product of the month and some other stuff. We also have a really special guest with us today. Jeremy Johnson has come. He's going to talk to us about how to get our finances in order, our taxes taken care of, so that we have this whole year now to start take care of last year's taxes and then start getting ready for this year and what we need to save, what we need to hang on to, what receipts we need to keep and stuff. So it's going to be really great. All right, so the first thing we're going to do though is we're going to welcome Vicki Black. Are you ready, Mama?
Yes, I am.
All right, she's going to talk to us about essential oil. Is this tall enough for you, Mama?
No.
Is this better? Now I need light right here. Electrician.
Watch me.
Yeah, that's not me. How does that work?
Get on.
Okay. It's interesting because I wear contacts some of the time, and sometimes it's better without the reading glasses. I've been using Immortel, and that's not the oil of the month. And it's been improving my eyesight. So the last time I went to the doctor, I really see better without my contacts. So I really only need glasses for reading. So it's a catch-22. Okay. This morning, we're going to talk about juniper berry. And I noticed Christy has a juniper bush by her front door. So I meant to take scissors and clip a little piece and pass it around so that y'all could see what juniper berry looks like. But a lot of you have seen juniper in Arlington or in Texas. There's several varieties. But they have a little berry on them. And the berry changes colors over time as the bush matures. And doTERRA finds the chemical constituents, chemical properties in these plants where we get our oils from plants, from the roots, from the stems, from the leaves, from the berries, from the sap from trees. Wherever we get our oils, they find where it's the most potent and where it's the strongest and where they can derive the most pure form of it. So that when we use it, we know not only is it 100% certified pure, but it is also therapeutic grade. And juniper berry can be taken internally, it can be placed on the body topically, and it can be diffused in the air. And in doing the research about juniper berry, found out that hundreds of years ago, they used to diffuse juniper berry in hospitals in France because it is known as a purifying agent for the airborne pathogens in the air to kill the germs and to purify the air. We have some other oils that do that. We have something called Purify, On Guard, different ones, but juniper berry can be diffused to purify the air. It was also used as an incense and, of course, for medicinal purposes. We have it now to use for medicinal purposes, to also diffuse, purify the air, and to take internally because it will help with things like urinary tract infections, stuff like that. So it's called Juniperus well, I can't even tell for sure. Just forget that part. Generis communis, there you go. That's the biological name for it. Okay. It's to fortify, to unburden, or to empower. Common juniper is a prickly evergreen, a small shrub or tree reaching a height of about 39 feet. I don't consider that very small. With blue-green needles like leaves, greenish yellow flowers, and small round berries. Okay. doTERRA found that by leaving the berries on the bush and or this small tree for 4 months after it becomes mature, that's when it's the most potent. So they've changed colors to an almost blue-green and then a black, and that's when they are harvested. Then they are steam distilled for the most pure form, most potent form. And I don't know if you know, but herbs are potent and were used for hundreds of thousands of years. But our oils are 50 to 70 times more potent than herbs. So naturally, the oils that we have with doTERRA are a wonderful choice for any purpose that we pull them for and use them for, because they are so strong. It's an analgesic, it's antibacterial, antimicrobial, antiseptic, antispasmodic. It can be used as an astringent. It's a digestive aid or a diuretic. It's a mood lifter, a neurotonic. It's an organ cleanser for like your liver, your bladder, your kidneys, your pancreas, your gallbladder. It can cleanse and protect. It is a sedative, and this word is really weird. Tom and I looked it up last night. Stomachic. Stomachic. Okay. Has to do with the stomach and gastrointestinal. Okay. All right. It might be helpful with anxiety, aching muscles, arthritis, boost the immune system, bronchitis, cellulite reduction. Who knew? Colds, cuts. They used it inside open wounds to clean it and to like an antiseptic and to keep it from any germs and to help prepare it for healing. It's for gout relief, dandruff, ear infections. Can be used as an expectorant, flatulence, fluid retention, gout relief, helps get rid of uric acid in your body. It can be placed in water and you can drink it, like we did the lemon or the lime or the grapefruit, to help with extreme uric acid and to balance the body with that pH balance that we need to balance. For inflammation, improves memory. For a hangover, it's a heart tonic. Kidney stones, general kidney tonic. For indigestion, lymphatic congestion relief. Now that sounds like to me your lymph system. You can have swollen lymph glands. You know, you can get them in your neck. You can have them, like I have had breast cancer and I've had lymphedema in my right arm. I have no lymph nodes here. So the potential of swelling can happen, edema with diabetics and other disease-related things where you have swelling ankles and feet. So juniper berry could accelerate as a diuretic the release of that uric acid and fluid that's being retened in the body so that you don't have that swelling and that effect. Nerve damage recovery. I have people tell me all the time that you can't repair nerve damage. And I say, yes, we can. With essential oils, yes, we can. And here's another oil that we can choose for that. Skin issues, you can spritz it on shingles. If you know anybody that has shingles, they're telling us now is good for shingles. And add Melissa to it. Put it in a bottle with a little FCO, fractionated coconut oil, and spritz it on shingles or other skin-related issues. Spleen and pancreas decongestant. It's a stimulant, good for ulcers. People that have ulcers, this can be taken by mouth or it can be rubbed on the tummy area. A urinary tract infection, and then I mentioned wound recovery. Okay, you can diffuse it. It will freshen and disinfect the stale room and has been used to purify the air. And also an insect repellent. We know TerraShield can be an insect repellent. Now we know juniper berry is another one. Excuse me. In our Modern Essential book, it's on page 73, excuse me. And here's a picture of the juniper berry, and it looks like blueberries. Looks like you'd want to eat them. I don't think we're supposed to do that though. And then when they're maturing on the bush and they leave them 4 months after they become mature is when they harvest them. So in the Modern Essential book, it will tell you the chemical constituents and the properties that I'm naming. And one of the things about historical use, it said it was good for cleansing infections and healing wounds, for liver complaints, and for embalming. For relieving arthritis, UTIs, for warding off plagues. Yes.
If you have the plague.
What did somebody say?
If you have the plague.
Oh, I got it. Yeah, thanks.
You have to play?
And then epidemics, contagious diseases, headaches, kidney and bladder problems, pulmonary infections, and fever. And Steve's recording, so I need to remember to stay turned around this way. Okay. Now, for emotional health, for grounding, like our balance, the berry is another one of those. Excellent for freeing hearing blockages and grief release. Good for skin, so it can be applied directly onto the skin. Juniper berry oil helps to purge us of worry and self-absorption. And it says you can use it before you have something anxious like flying, before you're going to fly. If you have a fear of flying or have anxiety about speaking in front of large groups or small groups for that matter, 3 or 4 people, you could use it for that. They say you can apply it under the ears, you can smell it, inhale it, put it in your diffuser before you're going to speak, and it will help calm you like wild orange can do and like Intune. It blends well with these oils: black pepper, cedarwood, clary sage, cypress, frankincense, geranium, helichrysum, lavender, rosemary, blackbird, and wild orange. Can help you have good dreams if you want to diffuse it in the bedroom at night to lighten your spirits. Okay, and then I'm not going to give you the recipes, but we have copies. And they have recipes on here of oil blends that you can mix up for using for fear of flying to overcome agoraphobia. And you looked that up. Was that leaving the home? That's when you have a fear of leaving your house. To support change, to relieve pain of arthritis in joints. So juniper berry has been known to be really helpful with arthritis and joint pain, bladder infections, kidney stones, cellulite I mentioned, and the treatment of lice. And it has a recipe here for lice and what you're to do with that, and about our shampoo that can be used as a carrier for that doTERRA has, our wonderful shampoo with the 100% certified pure therapeutic grade oils in the shampoo. A relaxing blend that you can bathe with lavender and cedarwood and frankincense and jasmine and juniper berry, and the I Can Do It blend. So there's a few recipes that we got online for you for the use of and sometimes we post those on Tools in My Box, which is Christy's private page for all of us that are in the business under Christy, and those are helpful. The last thing it says can be used orally as a dietary supplement. Juniper berry is generally recognized as safe for human consumption. You can dilute 1 drop of oil in a little honey or 4 ounces of any beverage. Not for children under 6 years of age, or used with caution. When we say that, a lot of times you'll ask upline or you'll ask other people on like a website, Go Green Essentials, have you used juniper berry for your child? How did you use it? to what dilution and what did you use it for, and then you can get response as to whether it was safe. Then I mentioned the things that it's blended with, and I am going to give away a sample. So if we have our bowl and you have your tickets, we're going to have our first drawing, and I want to pass the juniper berry around so that you can smell it. This is my bottle of juniper berry. You can pass that around to smell. And then I have a sample so that you can go home and use the sample that I brought you this morning and see how you like juniper berry. Then you can place it on your next LRP order next month. And you can add it to your recipe. Okay. All right, let's see what the number is. The last three numbers.
Collectively, the two lines.
487.
487. It's really, the numbers on here are light. 487. Okay, girl. Here you go. There's your little sample of juniper berry. And they did not have a tab for it, so I put one on there and I noticed it's rubbing off. That's juniper berry. Does anybody have a question? I don't know that I can answer it.
I think you will. You said that you could put it in shampoo as a carrier, or that means that you mean it doesn't, the shampoo does not have the juniper berry, but you could actually use the shampoo to add any that wants to. Yes, right.
You can add any
Well,
one.
if you had lice, and you wanted to add the juniper berry to the shampoo to help treat lice.
Melaleuca. Right.
Right.
Right. And lavender is good, and for your hair too. And I have a little breakout on my scalp right now. So that's good. The last recipe is here. If anybody wants it. Stephen, did you have a question?
Yeah, you said it helps with good dreams. Does that mean it helps with night terrors for kids, or?
That'd be a good question, because I know somebody that has that, and diffusing it in the air could very well be calming
Okay.
and help with that. I know Serenity's been known to do that. Serenity and vetiver on the bottom of the feet for night terrors, and putting lavender in the diffuser. So juniper berry is another one that they recommend for that.
Okay.
Anything else?
Vetiver?
Yes, and we can tell you where we got it. And Christy sent me an email, but Tom had already found it, and I had printed it off. It was the same format, but a little bit differently printed. Where did you find?
It's on oilmender.com.
Oilmender.com.
And they have all of those there, different days and stuff.
And when you finish passing my bottle around, we'll get it back. So congratulations, Nancy, and thank you very much.
I listened to a call on juniper berry when it first came out, and they said it was good for arthritis. Okay, so you can mix it with several other oils that help with arthritis, but here's what Susan Lawton said. Susan said, put it on the first place you noticed your arthritis symptoms. So if it was like your feet, that was the first place you started having pain in your ankles. Even though your hands may be hurting, start applying it there liberally. Right? She said the first place you'll notice it get better is the last place you started having symptoms. Right. So it will slowly kind of back its way back out. I thought that was very interesting. So just
weight loss.
yeah. Grr. Yeah, the first thing to go is the stuff you want to keep, right? I'm just saying. Okay. Thank you. All right. So now we're going to talk about the product of the month. Now what that means is if you place an order on your loyalty rewards program every month before the 15th of the month and your order is over 125 PV, the company says, thank you. Thank you for not slamming us at the end of the month with a big order. Thank you for doing it on the 15th or before. So they give us a free product of the month every month. Sometimes it's oil. It's been fractionated coconut oil before. It was a charm at Christmas time to carry our oils in. Tony's wearing hers. But every month it's something really great. It's a value of about $12, $13, $14. I always look at it as free shipping, right? So this month is oregano. Now before I pass it around, I'm going to tell you, don't get it on your skin. This is not one of those you want to try, okay, because it is hot. So juniper berry, sure, pass that around, try a little, put it on, smell it. Do not put this on your skin. Oregano comes from the herb oregano. This is not a surprise. It is very high in carbapenem. What that means is it's a powerful natural antibiotic. So instead of taking antibiotics from the doctor and having them destroy our gut, this is going to be able to be used by the body, kill the bad bacteria, not being destructive bacteria. However, we don't want to use oregano for more than about 2 weeks because it is a powerful antibiotic. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
So I'll just start with it, because the one I have, I should quit it in 2 weeks?
After about 2 weeks, yeah.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yay!
It's so refreshing. Yes, give yourself a break. Take a week or 2 off. You need to go back
I
on
don't
it.
get mine.
But
It
give
was
yourself
very
some time.
easy.
Okay. So, oregano is antibacterial. It's antifungal. It's antiparasitic. It's antiseptic, and it's support for the respiratory system. It's antiviral, and it stimulates your immune system. Always dilute oregano. I don't even recommend you put it in the neti pot. No, that was an experience. Yeah.
You can, I have used it with the neti pot, like if you have chronic bronchitis.
It is
But you
indicated for
use it
severe
with-
infection.
With some other
Yeah.
oils, like I have used it with rosemary
Yeah.
and frankincense.
Yeah.
But, and you don't even feel the burn with the oregano being inside of it, but, yeah.
I did.
I would say you might feel
may not
less
have felt the
burn.
I felt like I just got the whole swimming pool. I know. It was pretty, and it burned here, and it burned in the, yeah.
thing to add.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
We learn a lot of things by trial and by
It's
error.
a trial and error. That's right. You know, how many of you have got peppermint in your eye? All right then. See, that's okay. It's not so bad. You all lived. Okay. You can treat candida,
You're all still here.
pneumonia, bronchitis, strep throat, whooping cough, viral infections, MRSA, warts, myriad of things. Okay. It's wonderful for. They did a study out of the University of Utah, and they were testing different oils and what they did with different bacterial, bacteria. And you've seen the petri dish. They scrabble the bacteria on there, and it starts to grow. And they put a little tiny disc dipped in oregano, put it into the petri dish, put the lid on, put it into the incubator, shut the door, left everything for the night. Came back the next morning. Oregano had killed all of its bacteria. And all the bacteria in all the other petri dishes. Hooray! Time to start all that. They had to start all those, research projects over. And they found out that oregano is a powerful antibiotic. So even
Different
aromatically, even aromatically, chronic strep. I have a friend who's got chronic strep. We watched a video about chronic strep. They've used oregano and On Guard in a carrier oil, no roller bottle on this young man, for 2 weeks down his spine, twice a day. A lot of times we will harbor bacteria or virus in our spinal fluid, and it will sit there and lay dormant until the immune system is weakened again, and out it comes. So she said for 2 weeks they did this after having months of chronic strep. 2 weeks of antibiotics, 2 weeks of being healthy. 2 weeks of antibiotics, 2 weeks of being healthy. And after 2 weeks of treating him with the oregano and On Guard twice a day, he has not gotten strep again. It's been a couple of years. So they finally eradicated it from his body, right? Okay, so that is the product note. Whisper. We always have a product that's 10% off. So Whisper.
Anybody want to smell?
Okay, this
How many bottles you got?
is the Whisper blend.
One more.
Whisper works with each unique individual's chemistry to smell different on their body, right? So the way it may smell on you may smell a little bit different on me. It says it's an aphrodisiac. Says it's great for frigidity and it's good for hormone balancing. It has patchouli, bergamot, sandalwood, rose, jasmine, cinnamon bark, citrus, vetiver, ylang ylang, geranium, cocoa bean, and vanilla. It's good for emotional balance. And it enhances the aura of beauty and femininity. I'm wearing it this morning, can you tell? So that's 10% off this month, and so it's making everybody smell our feeling weird because it says 0.60. Because everybody's ordering it, and it's making it, instead of being like 0.50, everybody's just like 0.60, it's very weird. Because it's 10% off, so it's throwing the numbers, it's just throwing my numbers off, it's making my math hard. Okay, order it, do it, do 2, that was, no, I'm good. Okay, then the last thing I want to just kind of remind you guys about is we still have the New Year, New You vouchers going on. So if someone enrolls this month with 100 PV or more, they set their loyalty rewards program up for next month for 100 or more, they can receive a voucher for $100 in free oil. So now's a really good time to help people get that oil in their home. If you need help with how to fill the vouchers out, we can talk about that. If you need a voucher because you had somebody enroll and you didn't have a class scheduled in the calendar, let us know, because we have lots of classes going on in the area. I actually got a phone call from a lady yesterday that's doing Diamond Club from Phoenix, not even part of our team. Got her to do a Diamond Club event today. Somebody enrolled yesterday online by themselves. She was like, our vouchers are good starting tomorrow. Saw that you had a class yesterday on the calendar. Do you have an extra voucher? And I said, I do. Not a problem. Because I needed something because they promised her the system, but she signed up on her own. So that's how those work. And if you have any other questions, just let me know. All right.
Quick question, real quick, that might be helpful to others. The person that I just was working with the 100 thing on, they were trying to get their order up. Well, if they decide they don't want to do that at first, but then they start seeing the value of it, can they change their LRP to make it 100 and still get the voucher as long as it is before it ships out?
Yes.
Okay.
They can edit it all the way up until midnight the night before it fires, just like any of us, as long as it fires at 100 or more.
Because the chair won't even look at it until.
Right.
Okay.
And that voucher is still honored.
That's good news.
All right. We have Steve Black with us today. I want to bring tonight. He's still not already. I want to bring him up, and I want him to talk to us a little bit about
And mom talked for a really long time.
connecting with our events. Okay, if we can network our events and we know when people are having classes, if you don't have a class scheduled, but you have somebody who wants to get to one, you can say, hey, jump in the car, let's go with me, we have a class going on in the area. So we're going to talk about how to do that, and he's going to just briefly touch on domains also. Just mention it, and I'm going to have a place on the parking lot. So remember, if you have a question that doesn't get answered today, if you just fill out a Post-it note with your name and email address and the question you have over on the parking lot, then we will get back with you this week if it's a bigger question that just can't be addressed real quick. Okay.
Everyone probably has some sort of Google account. Because if you have an account at YouTube, if you have an account for your Gmail, if you have an account for any number of other things that Google's involved with, you have a Google account. If you go to Google and log in to that account, and you're looking at that thing, up in the top right-hand corner of your page will be a little grid. Looks like a tic-tac-toe board. Click on that, and it will open up Google Apps that you are all, with your account, you have access to. One of them will be the mail one. One of them will be your calendar. Click on the calendar. The calendar will open, and it may be blank if you've never done it before. But it'll be there, and on the left-hand side of the page, there will be information up here about the calendar, settings, that kind of thing. Then there will be the calendar that's you shown. And then right here will be a box. And that box either will be blank or it will have words in it to the effect of connect to another calendar or import another calendar. In that box, you put toolsinmybox@gmail.com. Toolsinmybox@gmail.com is our collective team's calendar. At times, I will add specific events, like today. The events for today were in there. They will then show up on your calendar. Once you add it, toolsinmybox@gmail.com will be right here. It'll have a little square here with a color in it, and it'll have a little square here with an X in it. If you click on the X, it'll turn off, and they'll all disappear. Click on the X again, they'll all come right back. Okay, so you'll have your stuff in there that's one color, and you can have the Tools in My Box in there that's another color. You get to pick the color. I think the default color that we've chosen for it is purple, but you can change that if you choose. So, to add something to the calendar, add it to your calendar. Then it will have the option on that event of invite. You can invite Tools in My Box, which will automatically be in a pull-down list in your invite option. You don't have to type it in there, it will be there because you're already connected to it. You invite it, and in our Tools in My Box calendar, in its date, it'll show up, and it'll have this little arrow on it that shows that it's an invite. But it's going to show up to everyone who has their Gmail connected to, or their Gmail account connected to this calendar. So, and I haven't really talked to the people about their phones and whether or not it's there. I do know they can add a date on it, but do all the doTERRAs, are all of ours coming up on your phone? Is what I'm curious
Yeah, I
about.
think so.
You got them there, okay.
Yes, but from what I can tell from what we've done is that you can't do this process on the phone.
You can't invite. You can create the thing, but then you got to go to your computer to do the invite,
Right, to do this initial setup.
or to
you have
even
go to the
even add.
computer.
Right?
You gotta do
Yeah,
it
this
on
has to
the
be done on your
computer.
computer.
You can't do it from your
I don't
app.
even think it'll show up on some tablets, depending on the browser you're using on the tablet.
It
So-
might on an iPhone, but it doesn't work on an Android.
Okay.
You have to do it through your computer.
So on this is
I'm
talking
sorry,
about
you said that a Google product doesn't show up on a Google product?
That's what she just said.
an aspect of the product. on the
It's
front.
probably established.
Okay, so that's the calendar. If you have any questions, you can text me. If you need to walk through on it, there are several people who are versed.
And again, what's the purpose of doing that?
The purpose of doing that is so that your calendar syncs with our team's calendar, and therefore, if anybody puts up a event, a class, something you might want to attend or bring people to, you'll have everybody else's published events. So if you publish to this, be aware you've invited everybody to come. Okay, so
And all of their friends.
and all their friends that now that may turn into a class that, and this is your responsibility. If you cancel it in your head, you need to cancel it on your calendar. If people have responded and you cancel it, they will be notified that it was canceled. So, at the last minute before a class, if you haven't actually spoken to the person who is hosting this class and let them know you're bringing 10 people, you know, it might be a good idea to be in touch with somebody if you're going to bring more than like a person. So that's something that may or may not happen eventually, that somebody will show up to a class that was supposed to be there and somebody forgot to cancel it and they're like, oh no. So be aware, if you publish it, it's public.
I'm overwhelmed of all the places you can invite the group. Is this the same, wouldn't this be kind of the same as going to Facebook?
We have people that don't use Facebook.
I see, so if you wanted to have a class, you would want to go here and there,
Yeah.
and there, so you just need to know all the
Now,
places.
if you
invite.
publish to Facebook, you need to publish it in Tools in My Box,
Right? Under-
which is changing its name the right way, but that's why the slash is there. Eventually, they'll switch ends, and then Tools in My Box will go away. This address will not change. The Tools in My Box is still an aspect of the Gmail calendar, and it will not change. But you want to invite in Facebook, but you want to invite inside the Tools in My Box, and while you're doing it, you want to select in the privacy options at least friends of guests. You do not want it to be Tools in My Box only, because the point of a class is to bring people who aren't in Tools in My Box. And if it's set to Tools in My Box only, you can't invite people that are your friends on Facebook to it.
And it'll automatically go to their friends that are.
If someone then decides to join and becomes a join, it's the join button, they will then have the option of invite friends.
Okay.
When they click on that, they can invite their friends. All their Tools in My Box friends will be grayed out because they've already been invited. All their other friends on Facebook will be in black. They can click on them and invite them to that class.
Okay.
Okay, so make sure that's there. If you don't do it, quickly delete it, put it back in and do it again, because once it's created, you cannot edit that aspect. The privacy aspect cannot be edited from Tools in My Box to global after that point.
It sounds like we need to do this again next month or whenever.
We need to do this more often, but-
With a screen and everything, so you can walk through and show all that stuff.
Well,
on Facebook.
the truth is, that probably still won't get it in some people's heads, and here's the deal on that. Give me a call. My number's published. If you're in Tools in My Box, you got a link to me. Click on it, go to the About button. There's my phone. Okay? If I'm not available at the time, I'll tell you and we'll do it later. But when you do call, be near your computer. And I'll walk you through it. It's not that hard, but I'll walk you through it. Once you do one, you're golden. Okay? Really, really quickly, because this is also something that's very visual, and I want you to know about it. Christy and Lance have just purchased what's called a domain. If I say you own a domain, who doesn't know what I mean? Good, no hands. The domain is the www.something part on the internet. They bought Right Way. What? She got one. Yeah. Natural medicine, and it's all spelled out. Now they can have an email that's like Christy at Right Way Natural Medicine, and their website can be Right Way Natural Medicine. So that when they say go to Right Way Natural Medicine and you type it in, it'll take you to wherever they want you to go. And right now it's pointed at their doTERRA page. This is the next step in business professional appearance. If you tell people to go to www.mydoterra.com/blah blah blah, they realize that you're not quite there yet. Just like that. And it's a lot of stuff to type in and make a mistake with. Right Way Natural Medicine, and they actually bought the one that starts with an R too, so that if you're not paying attention to the fact that they're using their name, you can go to RIGHT Way Natural Medicine and you still get there. So they were thinking ahead to people not, Right Way Natural Medicine, RIGHT, there we go. Yeah. Their brother-in-law was thinking ahead.
That was my idea.
No, it wasn't. She came to you with the question because I asked it. Do we want them both? Do we want them both? Yes, that was the only one they didn't buy was this one. And that's okay, Right Way. Yeah. But no one's gonna think that way. So if you want a domain, there's way more to this that you can take advantage of. I just helped our Kansas member get her team. Well, that's right, she's not all by herself anymore. She's doing a class today.
Nope, last night.
Or was it last night? Okay. And so now she's not all by herself anymore, and she's excited. She had already printed her business cards, and it had the doTERRA.com/blah. It also had a Yahoo email address. Those two things say, okay, you may know everything you need to know about everything you're trying to tell me, but really, are you a business? Or are you a Yahoo email address? Well, by getting a domain, you can have that as your email address, and it's just the next level in developing a professional appearance. So, domains run anywhere from $8.50 to $10 a year. With privacy protection, it's another $10 a year. All the forwarding services that are available are free. They can point to existing websites. If you want to build your own website, that can start at anywhere from $10 a month to thousands of dollars. And if you want to buy a domain from somebody else, it could be $5 grand. As Christy just found out, somebody wants her name.com more than she does. ChristyWright.com has been marketed, and she's receiving $5,000 for it because she bought it first.
It's hard to spell anyway.
Yeah. So domains can be expensive. Your newdiscoveries.com was taken. They want $15,000 for it. She bought your New Discoveries instead. So there's workarounds. So if you come up with an idea, talk to me about how to figure out whether or not it's available, or if it's not, exactly what might be. TheOilChange.com taken. YourOilChange.com available. And that's what the lady up in Kansas purchased. So there's
not available anymore.
So not available
not available anymore.
My oil change.
Essential Oil Change is still available if anybody wants to grab that one. Happened to find that the other day. Any
You're
quick
suggesting
question?
that we all purchase our own, not that we're linked to Children's Box. We need to just get our own.
Right.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, eventually you need to have a domain that is and if you think ahead, it's the name, you want it to tie into the name of what you're going to call your company. Anything else?
I manage construction document systems, and we have thousands and thousands and thousands of users, and you can go through them and you can see, Joe Blow with whatever, and he's got a Gmail account or a Yahoo account or whatever, and in your mind you're picturing a guy who's working out of his truck.
Exactly.
But really,
Oh, my favorite one is when you have a business card, and it says, or like if she'd done this, youroilchange.com, and then it's Cherie at Yahoo. And you're like, what? You bought a domain and your email address is not the what? Well, she knows better now. She's got Cherie at youroilchange.com. Well, that's what it should be. You can also have a website with links like contest at youroilchange.com and doTERRA at youroilchange.com and things like that, so that the emails can then be sorted within your own system to the right place, and so it's not as confusing. And then there's a really neat trick about spam that I can teach you once you own your own domain. So, and that's way beyond the course here. So, but anything else? No? Good.
All right, thank you so much. So yeah, as you guys come up with questions,
Because trust me, there will be.
yeah, and so you just go on our Facebook page, find Steve Black, and then go to his page and just on the about it, that's his number, or you can just, you want to give us your number right now?
My phone?
Yeah.
So you can text me?
Yeah.
My phone number is 972 978 9487.
I think this is the most exciting thing we do every month. How to make money. We want to touch just briefly on compensation. We want to talk about it regularly, right? Okay, so let's talk about it really briefly. How are we doing?
We're right where we were gonna be.
You've got 10 minutes.
What time's Wendell supposed to come up?
Yeah, you've got 10 minutes.
Okay, all right. Compensation. The first way to make compensation in doTERRA is retail. We all know what the retail model looks like. You would purchase the product or send them to your website with your new domain name, and they would purchase the product at retail, and doTERRA will send you a check for the 25% difference, right? Or if you purchased it on your own LRP and sold it to them, you would mark it up to the retail plus the taxes on the retail value, and you would keep the difference, okay? Just keep the paperwork. Jeremy will be telling us about, we got to hang on to stuff like that. We got to make sure that we keep receipts and things that we're selling retail. Okay. Not a great model. Don't really want to do retail. On a bottle of lemon, you will make $3.33. Okay. Enrolling people, right? So helping them get their own wholesale accounts so that they can see the value of savings for themselves. I don't personally even like to make retail off of my friends and family. It makes me uncomfortable. Okay. So when we enroll someone, we talk to them, we say, the best way to get your products is through a wholesale account. Let me help you set it up. If you buy a kit, it waives the $35 enrollment fee. You get all these oils, it's fine. The company's going to send you 20% of their PV. So for instance, the Family Physician kit is $150, but it's 110 PV. So you're going to get 20% of that, so $22, right? For the first 60 days of their enrollment, anything they purchase. Maybe they place 2 orders the first month. It happens, right? Then they go and they set their LRP up and they place another order the next month. So 20% of anything that happens. The person that enrolled you is going to get 10%. And the person that enrolled them is going to get 5%. So there's an incentive for us to work with the people below us to help them have their classes, help them enroll people, right? Get established, learn what they're doing, help support the team. Okay, another way to make money. Power of 3 bonuses. So, here you are, 100 PV a month or more, 125 by the 15th, get your free product of the month. You share with 3 people who are doing 100 PV or more, and your total volume of you and your front line is 60 PV. So simply,
600.
I'm 600. I'm sorry. Simply, you all know, way to go. I'm trying to catch you. Okay.
You passed.
You passed it. So simply, 150 apiece gets you that 600 very quickly, right? So for those committed business builders, 150. If we need to get them there for a couple of months, don't freak them out. But the faster we can get them there, the faster it's successful for all of us. Now, how many of you have a hard time doing 150 PV a month? How many of you have a hard time keeping it under 200 a month? Okay. Finances are all there for everybody. you never have a question about what you want. Okay. So then, those free, people that you love and you've helped start their businesses want their $50 check, just like you were getting yours. They're like, show me how. So you help them find their 3 people each, right? Same thing. They've got to have $600 for their front line and themselves. They're going to get their $50 check. You're going to get $250. Now that pays for your oils every month, right? No reason to ever quit buying oil after that. Now let's do it again. Those newest people are like, yeah, I want my 50, right? So we help them. The people that enrolled them also are now helping them because we're mentoring and we're encouraging and we're sharing and we're helping pour into our front line. So they find their people. They start getting their $50. They start getting their $250. It's got here, this is you. You're making $1,500 extra dollars a month just for that part of the business, okay? That usually happens around gold. Right, gold, that'll fall into place, all right? Could happen a little before, but usually happens at gold. All right, after the first 60 days, you say what happens, yes ma'am?
One question with regard to the whole retail versus wholesale, because I have 5 customers who are either doing retail or a preferred customer, and the one kickback question that I can't seem to overcome is, I don't want to sell it right now, I just want to buy.
Do you sell stuff you buy from Sam's? Because I don't. I just use my discount.
I don't say it like that, but I come back and I say, you don't have to sell it, you can just buy it, but cheaper.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're like, no, I'll just do this for
when you go to Costco, you then take the stuff home you save money on and resell it? Because I don't. I take the savings and keep it for myself. Right?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. I'm just looking out for you and the bottom line. The best value for you and your family is to get it wholesale. If you're going to spend $140 in a year, the wholesale account pays for itself. So when you get to 140, I'm going to point out the fact that the wholesale account would have paid for itself. Okay. After the first 60 days, no more fast starts. However, you're still going to see from your unilevel commissions, people on your front line, 2%. Right? Goes down 3%, 3%, 5%, 5%, 6%, 7% on your 7th level. Now you have to have hit silver, right, to get that 7th level. But that's about the time you start getting 7th level anyway. It's not until silver because it's got to kind of get deep to get there. You might have, it'd be weird. But anyway, you can so what is doTERRA encouraging you to do? Build deep and what? Help your team. When you hit silver, maybe another bonus, right? When you hit gold, that bonus is 5 times as much. When you hit platinum, it's 10 times as much as the silver bonus. So another way to make money in doTERRA. Now, here's the one thing you need to do. No matter how big your business builds, no matter how much revenue is coming in, the only thing you need to do is keep 100 PV a month in order to get compensation from the company. So be a user of your products, right? Be a product of the product. We can't tell people how great the shampoo is if we aren't using it. We can't tell people how wonderful the skincare is if we aren't using it, right? So change your buying habits. Were you using shampoo before you met doTERRA?
Yes.
Right, okay. Change your buying habits. Were you using toothpaste? Please say yes. You were using toothpaste before you met doTERRA. Change your buying habits. When was the last time you went to Kroger, bought some shampoo and some toothpaste, and Kroger said, hey, thanks for doing that. Here's a check. doTERRA sends me a check for brushing my teeth, for washing my hair, for washing my face, right? Thank you, doTERRA. So just change your buying habits. All right, and then one more thing I just want to talk about really quickly. Okay, is a really big fun concept. So this is you and your team. We won't go too deep. And then we're going to do this. Now who knows what the circles stand for? Right, at how much?
100 PV or more.
100 a month, okay. So what's the square? Under 100.
Didn't they change the symbols? The little people with arrows around them?
Different page. Okay. Okay. So here is your,
It's a different view.
your number 1 level, right? This is your 2nd level, 3rd level, 4th level, 5th level. Okay. Now let's say at 2, 3, and 4, you thought, oh, product users, you started burying them underneath each other because they were like, I'm just going to buy this one thing and I'm never going to buy again. You can't even make me. Okay, I'm going to bury you down. This girl shares with somebody, enrolls somebody. Okay. And this person down here says, hey, shut up. I want to build this as a business. I want to make gangster money. And this flows, all right? Now, they're on your 5th level. They're people below them 6th, 7th level. Below that, this big giant team, you're thinking, here they are growing, nothing's happening. So doTERRA has something called the dynamic compression. These people pretty much go away. And so this becomes your 2nd level on commission checks, and your 3rd level, and your 4th level, and your 5th level, okay? Now, if one of the people jumps in eventually and goes, hey, I want to do this, they count, they're going to count again. But in the meantime, doTERRA said, we want to set up one more way to incentivize you to help support team no matter how far down they are, no matter how excited they get. You don't want to just, wash your hands of them just because they're down there. Okay? So it's just another way that doTERRA said, we're going to encourage you to build your business, to support your team, to incentivize you. Got it?
You have to request that?
No, it just happens. You don't have to worry about it.
Even if those people still are users?
As long as they're below 100.
Okay, below
Now, if you place an order, a standard order, it would show, it would bump for that month. It would, they would count, as
Oh, this is 0
So that
orders.
person might go up and
but
down.
these are 0 orders. People are not doing anything.
Okay.
So you get somebody on fire now, and I just found out something while we were in Mexico. Somebody just made an offhanded remark. I thought it was pretty interesting. So this girl here starts doing her LRP again, okay? So she starts to be a circle leader, and she starts making compensation. And this team has gone presidential diamond, okay, underneath her. The most she will ever make, they cap her income at $15,000 a month. Just let you know. So they say, sorry, but $15,000 a month is the most we'll ever pay you, no matter how big that team is, because you enrolled one person who built this organization. You don't have other legs, you're not ranking, you're not silver, you're not anything.
But if she gets on fire, that would change.
If she started building other legs and stuff, of course it would. But if she just wants to sit there,
Punishment.
yeah, the $15,000 a month caps out. Yeah.
That's $15,000 a month maximum unilevel bonus.
It's $15,000 a month total. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, that's the only thing she's going to be earning is unilevel.
Ordering $100.
Yeah.
And she's not earning task cards. She's not earning.
No,
She's
I knew I
making
did this for a reason.
$14,900, profit a month.
Right. So now.
And if she ever tells you she can't afford her order, just laugh.
Tell her to buy her out. She's not.
Buy out the battery. Yeah, buy out her
Buy
organization.
her out. Okay. So any other questions about a little bit of compensation we talked about today? So here, I want to tell you guys a secret. I want you to write this down. This is very powerful. This is how to build a business. Are you ready?
See, that's how I'm going to retire.
This is the
Wendy's going to
secret.
go presidential
Are you ready?
diamond.
This is the secret. Mom, this is important.
I'm gonna
Write
keep
this
my
down.
100 PV
It's a
going. I'm
secret.
good.
Here is the how to be successful in doTERRA. Have classes, enroll people. 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 That's it, guys.
6
There's-
times over?
6 times over, and then wash, rinse, repeat. There's no real special.
Even use shampoo if
You don't have to
even have
stand a
hair.
certain way. There's not a hoop you have to jump through. Get people samples because the oils will sell themselves. Invite them to classes, present the options, and enroll them. Have classes and enroll people. Guys, it just is the model. We don't have to create anything new. It's working. Have classes and enroll people. All right. I am very honored today to bring to you guys our upline. Y'all met Alicia, some of you. This is her, she's the better half, right? Okay, this is her husband, Waddell Simon.
Her other half.
Please help me welcome him up.
Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? Oh, that's great. Happy New Year to you all. I know I have met some of you, others I have not. Hopefully I'll get an opportunity to meet each and every one of you. Hopefully you're thoroughly enjoying your doTERRA life. I know I have from when I first learned about the oils back in November of last year. I know my wife doesn't like me when I tell the story.
A year ago. Yeah,
A year ago.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Almost.
Yeah, 2012. My wife and I, we met Sharon McDonald in Houston, and we got to talking and everything, and we exchanged information, and we said, okay, she got a few oils, lemon, lavender, peppermint, the usual. And my wife came back, ended up getting an infection. And my wife is very natural. If you ever get to know my wife is very natural. Now me, on the other hand, I'm the typical, let's go to the doctor. Well, she was like, I need to go to care now. You want to go to care now? This is not you, not the... So I was like, well, you know, we met this lady. Why don't you call up that lady? You know? She's like, well, since my husband said that, because he's not the type of person, let me go ahead and do it. Well, she was still in Houston. She knew someone that was here in Arlington, and she gave my wife, lady came up, some lemongrass, some frankincense, and some other oil, and the infection was gone within 10 hours. And from that point, I was like, all right, we got to get on this. We got to get on this. I've never seen anything happen like that, and from that point on, that's how we started out with the business, and we ended up sharing with Lance and Christy, and y'all have just been blowing it up. And so I'm really looking forward to getting to know each and every one of you and hearing your stories, your why as to what you do in the business, because it's so important. Knowing that why is so important. And that leads into what I'm here to do is recognition. You know? Now, for the past month, being January, stand if you were in a new enrollee and actually enrolled someone yourself.
How many new enrollees for January?
Yeah, was anyone enrolled in January and you had a class and you enrolled someone yourself?
You didn't enroll in January.
No, if you enrolled in.
No, if you were enrolled in January, you know, that's the one that's just, hey, I got the baby quickly and I'm already starting to enroll. Okay, well, yeah. If you have enrolled anyone last month,
If we enroll
stand.
somebody.
If you enrolled anyone last month, stand. All right.
Now that.
A different question.
Yes.
One little word.
Yeah, the difference of the word between shoot and don't shoot. Yeah, those are important one little words.
No, we do want to honor our top enroller. Now, I understand that our top enroller is not here today, but they will be watching via video, and that is Laura Aspinall, and she enrolled 5 people last month. Let's go ahead. Now, for our local team member here, Miss Sarah Porter, with 3 enrollments. Stand up. Now, keep it up. Keep it up. Now, we're in the month of February. Got the new year, new you. Let's take it off the charts. Let's take it off the charts. Now, as Christian went over, there's a power of 3. Now, Stan, if you receive power 3 for the very first time, if it's the $50 or if it's the $250, last month. All right. How did it feel?
Amazing.
Amazing.
He was like, oh my God.
It's empowering.
Yeah.
And it get that itch, like, I like this itch. I want some more. So yeah, so keep it up. For those who did not hit your power 3, keep going. Keep following up with your upline on those mentor calls. We're here to help you to achieve the power 3. It is so important. That $50 will get you going. We'll get to that $250, to that $1,500. I tell you, hey, I wouldn't mind having that extra $50, $250 every single month. That is great. So keep it going, all right? Now, by standing up or raising hands, if you have signed up for the Sweet Success Challenge, all right. That is great. Now, for those of you who did not raise your hand or did not stand up, the Sweet Success Challenge is started by our uplines, Jason and Sharon McDonald. They are blue diamonds. They're the second from the top in the organization, okay? They created this opportunity, Sweet Success Challenge, and they have a website, sweetsuccesschallenge.com, where what it is there to train, to mentor, to inspire, and to encourage us and how to develop our business as we develop not only ourselves but also our downline. Okay. Now it's a great opportunity to take advantage. Now I understand that it's about to end on the 15th of this month, but it will happen again. I guarantee you that it will happen again because they've been doing it since last year. But continue keeping it going. I would say for if your spouses, get involved. Get your husband, your wife involved, because that's a way where both of you, because you're a team. Okay, so because there's times I know with my wife, you know, because we got 4 little kids at home, and there's times where she's just not able to. All right, well, hey, I'm going to just read, you know, these couple chapters from Slide Edge. Let me fill her in on it. And so that's where we're able to work with each other. Okay, and it's also as a spouse, because I don't do doTERRA. I worked as insurance. That's my thing. Well, it's a way for me to be able to know what she's doing, so that way when the time comes where she ends up hitting diamond and she'd be like, honey, why don't you just go ahead and quit? So that way I'll already know what's going on with the business. I already have the mindset where I can be able to mentor our downline. And so it's very important. I highly encourage the spouses to get involved with your bride or with your husband in this Sweet Success Challenge, okay? So yeah, so now I understand that we have some wonderful team members that are part of this team that are actually top 10 within Sweet Success Challenge. So as I give off your name, please stand. Wendy Durant. Jayla Richardson. Nancy and Donovan Loman. Team member.
Nancy and Tony. She's got a bum leg.
It's her last name and then her new married name.
Yeah, Nancy.
Donovan Loman is her last name. His name is Tony, but that's okay. He's right there. Raise your hand, Tony.
Donovan was the first name. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Becca Brown.
She's an Arkansas.
She's in Arkansas. Okay. Mary Comentali. I didn't think I didn't see her.
She's not here for me.
And Mr. Steve Black.
6 out of the top 10 are on our team.
Yes. See, and it's so important. Now, if I could ask just one person from the top 10, if you give a quick little excerpt of the experience from November of last year up to now, a Sweet Success Challenge.
Personally, for me, this is the second one that I've done, and I think that it's what exploded my team growing when I did it the first time, and why it's continued its growth is because of what I've learned, and because coming in, being brand new, you kind of feel overwhelmed with like what to do next. And what I loved about the Sweet Success Challenge was I had these tasks of things I needed to do. Share so many oils, do this, watch this video, and it just gave me this list of things to accomplish each week and hold 1 class a week. You know, you enroll a person, have 4 or more. You know, I had guidelines that helped me to follow that. And when I did those steps, my team grew. And it really helped me to not just step out of my comfort zone, but it helped me learn quicker because of the videos and things like that, more about the business, more about the products, the oils, everything like that, and made me more confident in being in this business.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So I just want to encourage each and every one of you to, you know, keep it going, keep the fire lit. All right, as we take doTERRA not only throughout Texas, throughout the U.S., but around the world, okay? Now, I have a wonderful opportunity to present to us our next presenter. He's an actual personal friend of mine, Mr. Jeremy Johnson. Jeremy Johnson has been working within accounting for the past 14, 15 years. He has his own practice as a CPA for the past 5 years. He's been working with my wife and I with our business for the past 2 years. He's worked with small businesses, for-profit companies, non-profit, as well as million-dollar corporations. The information that he has is valuable. So I'd say get yourself ready, turn the ears on. If you didn't hear me, be sure to hear him, okay? Because the information that he's going to be giving you will be valuable. Now, no further ado, Mr. Jeremy Johnson.
the energy up. I know we're going from gangster money to taxes, which is just as exciting. And my job is to help you keep as much of that gangster money as possible and not give it to the IRS. And so, before you give this.
I'll be right back.
Oh, okay.
My husband's here.
Oh, I didn't want to miss anybody. But you guys can just take one, pass it around. This is some information that I put together. There's a lot involved in being a business owner, and actually that's what it says on the cover there. Now that you are a business owner, believe it or not, you are an entrepreneur. You're not just selling oils, you're not just helping people live better, you are a business owner. And so that's a reality that we have to face. So in doing that, we have to conduct ourselves as a business. And I'm saying this because I had to do it. I had to learn it because I'm a small business owner. I have a small firm. As a matter of fact, my entire staff is standing before you. And so my wife, who stays at home, she does help out a little bit, so let me give her kudos there. She does help me out and kind of keep me balanced. And so it's a very small firm. However, I've had the opportunity to work with individuals that have just started a business. I've had the opportunity to sit down and consult with and I left the word out, it makes it sound better, but multi-million-dollar corporations, just sitting down with them and training their staff and helping them with their accounting systems, and then doing journal entries and financials and things like that. So that's just a little bit about what I do, but I started my firm actually prior to becoming a CPA. I was working with another local CPA firm in downtown Fort Worth, and I didn't like what I saw. There were just high charges for tax preparation and all kinds of things, and there was nothing there to really that was really catered towards the small business. And so when I left that firm, got experience, got my CPA license, and then from there I started working with small businesses. And these were businesses that there was someone that had a great idea. You know, I think I want to start my own lawn care service, or I want to start my own remodeling service. And so we would sit down and I would kind of listen to their ideas, and then we would go from there and actually form their entity. And then from there I'd help them in just consulting and say, okay, well, you know what, we need to come up with a tax plan. We need to come up with a plan for you to be able to keep as much of the money that you make as possible, because we all have overhead, whether that overhead is marketing material, advertising, you're getting that domain name, you're getting that website built, whatever that is, we need to be able to document that. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. But let's get to the dirty stuff first, taxes. As a small business owner, as an entrepreneur, you have this income that's coming in. And the IRS says, you are making money. I want some of that. And usually what happens as an employee, we all pay into Social Security and Medicare. So we have those payments that we're making. Well, what we do not see on the other end is that the employer is paying a portion of that for you on your behalf. Now that you are self-employed, you're an entrepreneur, guess what you have to pay? All of it, every bit of it, which right now is about 15.3%. So on the job, you're paying 7.65%, and you're like, oh, I'm paying a lot of taxes, but now you're stepping out on your own, you're going to pay even more. And so what I like to do is sit down with clients and first advise them of that. That's there, it's real. That 15.3% is real, and that's only for the self-employment piece. So you've heard the term self-employment taxes? That's what that is. That's that 15.3%. That is not your regular tax bracket. So if you take your W-2 income, your spouse's income, then you're going to add this income back in there, and you're going to pay taxes on that again. So there are a lot of taxes that you'll see as a business owner. So our goal is to capture as many expenses as we possibly can to lessen the amount that we have to pay. And by doing that, one of the things that we'll have to do, and that's what it's talking here about the tax consequences. And some of you, as you've been in the organization for a little while, you've seen a Schedule C has popped up on your tax return. Usually you may do a Schedule A, which just shows your itemized deductions, charitable donations, property taxes, sales tax, things like that. But now you have that Schedule C, which shows that you are a business owner. And so that's the new form that you'll see. And if this is going to be your first year really kind of getting into it, then don't be surprised when you see that Schedule C. Because that's what that's saying. It's saying that you are a business owner and you had income. Now the other thing that I'll tell you is you pay taxes because you made money. So it's not a bad thing. And I have clients all the time like, pay taxes. I'm like, oh, you only made $1 million this year. Pay something, be excited about it. So still embrace the revenue, embrace the gangster money that's coming in, but know that you need to account for it and allocate your expenses so you can minimize what you actually have to pay out. Any questions on that so far?
You have to make, what, over $600 a year the first year in the business to start this? Because some of them in the room haven't done that yet.
Okay.
Is it $600?
That $600 number, that is the number that is required for a payer to issue a 1099 to you. That's what that number is. So let's just say someone consults, or you have a business and you consult with me and you pay me $599. Then you're not required to issue a 1099 to me. Now, does that mean I'm not required to report net income? No. No, the IRS is going to say the burden is still on me to report that $599, but there's no burden on you to issue that document.
And they might want to know, doTERRA has already sent out your W-2 or W-4 form.
It's called 1099.
1099 of what we made last year. You
Yes.
should have already gotten it in there.
You should have gotten that. That typically goes out the last day of, or the deadline is the last day of the first month of the new year. So January 31st is when they're required to send those out, to have those in the mail to you. So by this time you should have.
This might just be a doTERRA question. I believe last year, before the end of the year around Christmas, the commissions earning that I had said $2. I hadn't even gotten the first $50 check. Is that even something that doTERRA will send a 1099 for?
No.
That's definitely a.
The answer is it's up to doTERRA.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we don't
Until
get
the $600 threshold, it is their choice whether or not to generate the 1099.
And you will see that. So don't let it scare you away if you get a 1099 for $25. That's their option to do that. But they're not required by the IRS. That's the only difference. There's that requirement at $600.
Okay.
So that's at their discretion. They'll send that out. One of the things, and we're not going to go through this entire sheet in detail. There's a lot of information in here that you can use, but we'll go through some of it. One of the things that it does mention is the shifting of income. And basically what that is, it sounds kind of shitty in the books a little bit. But that's basically, it's just, and you'll read it to give you detailed information, but it's basically saying where you can actually hire a younger child, one of your children, to work on your behalf and pay them. And what that does is you actually limit it to not having to pay the FICA, the Social Security and Medicare, when you hire a child under the age of 18. Okay? And so you're able to push off some of your income to them. And that doesn't mean that you have to stop feeding them and clothing them and all of that. So it's like, look, you're working for me now, you're going to rent your room. That's not what that means. But you're able to push that income to them so that they have a little money that they're making. And it actually creates an expense for you. So you save on your taxes. And that's the thing, you're wanting to capture your expenses so you don't have to pay as much tax. But what you do not want to do, and I tell my clients this all the time, don't just start spending money and spending money and spending money so you don't have to pay taxes and now you have no cash flow because it's gone because you're trying to avoid the taxes. That's not wise. Because we're in this to help people
Make money.
and make money. So you definitely want to do that. One of the other things that we look at to help in terms of saving on taxes are retirement plans. Okay? This is very important for individuals who are self-employed and this is all they do. For instance, my wife, again, she's home and I'm the only one working. Neither one of us have a 401k that we're able to contribute to because we're not with an employer. You know, they do have some individual 401ks that are out there, but retirement planning is critical And the best time to start is yesterday. Okay? It's always the day before today is the best time to start. And you can actually use those funds that you're contributing to minimize the taxes that you have to pay. So it's actually, it helps, it's a reduction of your taxable income. Yes, sir.
If you have both incomes, family-wise, W-2 and 1099, can you invest more than your 1099 income into a self-employed retirement account?
Can you invest more of your 1099? You mean
More than
you make?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you take in other words?
It depends on the vehicle.
Right.
Some retirement vehicles enable you to plug in about 14,000, and there are some that actually let you go a little bit higher. So you are able to do that, and you can actually pull from your W-2 income, and that's what you're saying, to fund a retirement account for the self-employed individual.
Right.
Definitely. At that point, I would say definitely sit down with a financial advisor, tax planner, and do what makes sense for your household. It's good to plug it away, drop it in there, but just know that this is a retirement account, which means that it should not be touched until you retire. And so as you pull it out, there are consequences for that when you pull money out of a retirement account. And depending on the type of account that it is, and we don't want to stray too far, depending on the type of account that it is, I mean, you can actually, there's some ways you can take loans, things like that, but there's still penalties assessed when you pull funds out of those retirement accounts.
Even after you've retired and you use those funds, you have to pay on them, but you pay a lower income, is that correct?
Yes, you do have to pay because it is still considered income.
Okay.
But the difference is before you reach the age of 59 and a half, okay, those are considered early distributions. After you've reached that age, 59 and a half, you're retired, you can pull from those funds, and depending on how long it's been, it gets kind of tricky, but depending on how long the funds have been in the account, even after you've reached 59 and a half, you can be penalized. And that tax consequence is 10%. And that's a penalty. That's not income tax or anything, that's just a flat out penalty that you have to pay. And then you're taxed on the income side of it, because it's still considered income for you. But it depends on the vehicle.
Right.
You can
Roth.
You can put it into a traditional, or you can put it into a Roth. One has a tax benefit now, the other has a tax benefit later, where you can contribute now and take a deduction of your income, or the other where you can contribute after tax dollars, and when you pull it out, it's not taxed at all. So that's when you would get with your financial planner and tax advisor and say, okay, you know what? Just looking into the future, I want to be able to pull out $5,000 that's taxable and $5,000 that's not taxable. But it takes planning.
Some of the vehicles, you're required to cash in after retirement, right?
At a certain age, they do have RMDs, the required minimum distributions.
For any vehicle or just certain ones?
For the ones that are
Actually,
taxable.
for the ones that, yes.
Of course, okay.
Because the IRS wants their money sooner or later.
Right, they want their money. That's it. We want ours, they want theirs. And so they're like, okay, look, this money is sitting in there, it's strong, you're getting this interest in there. We need you to pull that out so we can get access to some of that. So, yes. But there are a ton of different retirement vehicles that are out there. We can't get into all of them. It's a lot. But yes, definitely want to do that. So here's the part that we really want to get into is the business expenses. This is critical, and this is an area where I see a lot of small businesses falter, is accurately tracking their business expenses. And rule of thumb, what I usually tell any client is if you have a business that you're working, open a business account for it, okay? Have a doTERRA bank account for that business. Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to do a little plug right here. I work for Wells Fargo Bank, and I'm a business advocate. I can actually open your business account.
Perfect.
Please come see me.
Perfect. I need one of your cards or something before I leave. Thank you. Because that's what I do. I connect with bankers. Just say, listen, here's a trusted source. Open an account. There's some incentives or something out there. You want to take advantage of those.
I don't know how trustworthy she is.
Oh, okay. Keep your card.
She's only in her downline. She doesn't know who she is.
Yeah. Okay. That's funny. That's funny. So that's one of the biggest things that I tell my clients. Make sure you have a separate account so you can accurately track your income and your expenses. Okay, because once you start plugging it into your personal account, things get muddled in there. You're not really sure, well, was this a business expense? Did I go to Starbucks just because I wanted something, or did I have a meeting with a potential downline? So that's something that I always throw out there. You need to have a separate account, okay, so you can track this. Secondly, one of the things that I would recommend is actually developing some sort of accounting system, okay? Whether that system is QuickBooks, which I love, and I advise that you get QuickBooks. It can be pricey, but if you catch it at the right time, you can get it for a really good deal. But at a minimum, Microsoft Excel or something, some type of spreadsheet software where you can keep track of your daily spending and your income. I know doTERRA sends out the 1099s and things like that, but still, you want to be able to keep track of that yourself. Because believe it or not, I've seen 1099s that have been incorrect, on the wrong side. You know, they said you've actually gotten $10,000 more, and what happens when you receive that 1099, the IRS also receives that 1099. So if you file with a different number, you're going to get a statement that says, hey, you owe us more money, we like that, we're going to come get it. Okay, and don't ignore the notice. This is off topic. Do not ignore IRS notices, please, because then you will be coming to see me and we'll be sitting down and we'll be crying together because the IRS has placed a lien on your property, they've frozen your bank accounts, and now we have to go through this long process of getting all of that resolved simply because a vendor sent the wrong information in or whatever the case may be. But do not ignore IRS notices, okay? Well, let's get back to the tracking. Yes, ma'am.
On setting up the business account, when you're getting started and you're using personal funds to buy your product and everything, how do you keep from commingling that?
Well, you can't from that point.
So do you just track personal funds being deposited into a business account?
That's the easiest way.
And really, it depends on how you're set up, okay? Some may want to actually set up an entity, and by that I mean set up an LLC or just something to say, you know what, I want to operate my business under a business entity. Whereas some will say, I want to remain a sole proprietor. Both of them are pretty similar in the way you track, but you're basically just taking your personal funds and you're plugging it into the business. That is an expense, okay? Anything that you purchase, you know, that's all an expense. And so you're basically, from day one, you're starting at a loss. That's the easiest way to say it. You're starting at a loss because you're having to take this money and start your business. So you're having to get that starter kit, you're having to get that laptop or whatever it is to track everything. You're buying business cards, you're getting your domain name. All of this that you're doing is an expense. So you want to be able to track that. Okay, so you definitely, I mean, you have to use your own funds. Unless you have a backer, if someone says, listen, I'm starting with doTERRA, can you back me? You can say, yeah, here's $5,000, get started. Okay, that would be awesome. Don't know if that happens very frequently, but that would be great. So you definitely want to keep track of all of that. So again, you want to look at either QuickBooks, which is made by Intuit. And here's my quick plug. Since you got one, I want to get one. I am a QuickBooks Pro Advisor. I'm actually certified to train in it, and I can also get discounts for clients. So if you are looking at purchasing QuickBooks, let me know and maybe able to get it at a cheaper price. I do not get a commission for it. I wish I did because I've gotten so many people discounts for it, but let me know. And then secondly, if you can't do that, Excel, Microsoft Excel, okay? And if you still have Microsoft money on your computer, and they're not selling it anymore, it stopped in 2008, you can use that. That's another vehicle you can use, but you want to use something to where you'll be able to track all of your expenses.
So QuickBooks, it's 2011 or 2012 would still be okay?
Yes, yes. 2011 and 12 are still good. There's some functionality in it that you would not be able to use because they stopped supporting it at a certain time. But you can still use it for what you need, just tracking expenses.
Yeah, I can, I don't have, okay.
Yes, yes sir.
You said you're a certified trainer. What would a class for a group?
A group class to start?
Yeah.
You know, it really depends on the subject. It depends on what's going to cover in that. because it can get, because there's some people that have a little bit of experience in it, and then there's some where it's just, I have no idea, I've never seen this software before.
Say a beginner's class.
Yeah, so for a beginner's class, kind of depending on the class size, it would probably range about, I want to say for a couple of hours, it would probably range about $75 per person that's there for the class setting. And really what that would do is you would need, I'm sorry?
The minimum class size.
Minimum class size, I would say maybe 10. Maybe 10. And what I would say for that is you would need to have the software. And there's different ways you can handle bookkeeping. And we're gonna get into the actual expenses, what can we do and what can we not. But there's different ways to do the bookkeeping side. I have some clients that actually send all of their information to my office. And we do all the bookkeeping there, and we plug everything in the QuickBooks, and we shoot them a report and say, here's how you did in January, okay? And then I have some that actually try to plug in some of their own transactions, and then they send their file to me, and I look at it, I plug some things in, make some entries, and then complete it. Then I have others that they do everything themselves. They have their laptop QuickBooks, they feel good, they're competent in it, and they send it to me maybe once a month, once a quarter, and say, can you review it? Let us know how it looks. So it's different ways to kind of handle the bookkeeping
So you
side.
offer a monthly bookkeeping service?
I do.
For how much a month?
The bookkeeping wise, price sheet, you guys are awesome. Monthly bookkeeping right now for me, it starts at $200 per month. And so, and what that is that basically gives you, your P&L, which is your profit and loss statement. I don't want to make any assumptions. It's your profit and loss statement that shows your income that came in for that month and then all of your expenses. And I basically do that by taking your bank statement and plugging that in. If you have any credit cards that are associated with the business, I take that, we reconcile that as well.
So about gold, when we're at level gold, about, we might could afford that.
And that's about the time it's going to become a bookkeeping issue anyway. Up until that point, it's not as hard as you might consider.
It's really not. If you make it a point to be diligent and just every week, once a week at a minimum, take your receipts and plug them in, put them in some type of spreadsheet or something just to keep it tracked, then you're fine. The issue comes when in December, you pull that envelope from under the bed that's this thick now, and you try to look at it and try to calculate all of that to give to your tax preparer. That's when it becomes an issue. So as long as you're diligent and you keep it up on a regular basis, you'll be fine. Yes.
Do you track it in like categories or just listen in like in order from the day?
You want to do it in, for you would be doing it by date, of course, just as you're doing it from month to month. But ultimately, it needs to be in categories to file your taxes. See what I'm saying?
Are you gonna talk about those categories?
On your tax, I am.
Oh.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
But it's, yes, basically, so you'll have your copy and print expenses, you'll have the advertising expense, you'll have telephone, cell phone expense, and all those things, and that's what you'll actually put on your Schedule C, your tax return. So you want to make sure that everything is categorized. Yes, ma'am.
Just kind of another plug, I guess, for her
Okay.
on the Wells Fargo is I use Wells Fargo, and they already have an income and expense tied to your account. And all you have to do is make your categories, and
Okay.
it goes in there, and you can print it out at the end of the year and send it to your tax person.
Awesome.
I'm
And
telling you.
some banks do that. Thank you. And some banks do that.
So it
And
makes it
some
easy
credit
to
cards-
keep up
some
with.
credit
You just
cards do
have
that
to
as well.
go through the bank with all your expenses.
The only thing I'll say about that is just make sure you check them.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'll drop it in a funny bucket.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You have to go in and
Right.
make sure you categorize every, but still, that's easy.
And that's
The
a-
program's already there,
And that's a free option.
Do we-
I believe it's on the.
and it doesn't cost you nothing.
Do we have to retain copies of every receipt, or is a credit card statement where we mark it up sufficient?
You want to keep your receipts. You want to keep your receipts and mark them up as much as possible. I actually did some reading on this the other day, it was an IRS article that was out, and they want to see receipts. As a backup, you can show the statement, but what the IRS really wants to see is an itemization. Okay, they want to see that if you're using a restaurant receipt and you're saying that it was for a meeting, and there's one entree on there for $75, who are you meeting with? So that's what they, right, exactly. You just had a talk with Jesus, he didn't eat that day, so you definitely want to have something.
You split the meal.
Exactly. We're being frugal, we're splitting it. So you definitely want to keep you definitely want to keep that receipt, and really for $75 you probably could split something. Yes, sir.
You ought to be able to.
What about things that you can't totally separate personal and business, like your car, or possibly you mentioned a cell phone, maybe you use your home computer, or, yeah.
Okay.
It's not totally dedicated
And
to
we're definitely getting to that because that is huge. Let's jump right into it. So you mentioned items that are personal / business, like your cell phone, like your car. Those items you want to be able to track. Let's get into the car thing first. The business use of your vehicle. What the IRS likes to see, and you'll hear me say that a lot, this is what the IRS likes to see. I know a lot of people don't do it, but I want to put that out there because this is what they're looking for in case of audit, okay? What the IRS likes to see with your vehicle is they like to see a log. If you have a vehicle that you're using for personal and business, they don't care about you going to the mall and all of that. They want to see your business miles. So they want to see that log. And this is what they want to see. They want to see when you get in the car and you start it, this is what the odometer says. This is where I went, and this is what the odometer said when I got there. And I came straight back home, and this is what the odometer said when I got home. That's what they want to see. And why you went there. That's what they want. I don't know anyone that does that. I don't know anyone that does that. But that's what they want to see. When I first started, what I did is I would actually go to Google Maps. And if I knew I had a meeting with a client somewhere, I'd map it. And it actually has a spot in there where you can make notes. And so I would make my notes, I'm meeting with this individual to discuss this, and I would print out my round trip, and stuck it in a file. That's what I did.
Did you add your odometer readings?
No. I
But
did
it's on
not.
the Google map. and
I
it
did
shows
not add my
how you
odometer
go.
readings, but what I had was the round trip mileage. And one of the things that they look at, and I saw this in there, and if they really want to get greedy with it, then they can look at my oil change records and see where my miles were and just kind of add that up. But what I did now is I have a business vehicle, so I don't have to worry about that now. And that's the other thing. You can actually have a vehicle that is just for the business. Now let me put this out there because I see it a lot. You go to Vistaprint and you get this big magnet that says, I'm in business for myself, and you stick it on there. Jeremy, this is advertising. This vehicle, everywhere I go, even when I'm doing my grocery shopping, it's advertising. It sounds good. It will not work. It will not hold up in audit, okay? Because you're going to the mall, to church, to the grocery, that does not make that advertising for you because your vehicle is sitting in a parking lot with your business name on it. It has to be for business purposes. You have to be going from point A to point B for business, or the other option is you can actually have, like I said, a business vehicle that is 100% business. What that means is you have to have another vehicle that is available for personal use. So if all you have is one vehicle, it wouldn't fly that vehicle is your business vehicle, because the question would arise, how do you get around everywhere else? Bus pass, right?
What does it take to make a vehicle solely business?
Have another vehicle. Have another mode of transportation available to you.
And don't get caught using it for personal use.
And don't get caught using it, yes. But that's it. That's really the only way is to have another vehicle that's available for personal use.
You know, if your other vehicle's a motorcycle, and you say, well, I use my own motorcycle for the personal use, and they say, really, in the dead of winter when it's snowing? And you go, well, I might take the other car, then you're not 100% anymore.
You're not 100%.
Yeah, when tracking the mileage, can you count from your home to your
They'll ask you to prove it. They'll ask you to get your jacket.
Like business activities? Because I know when I was like working, I had to track mileage, you know, like for the state. You could not go from your home to your first place. They wouldn't count that. It would
Okay.
then be two other locations.
So let me ask you this. As a doTERRA representative, where is your office? There you go. So you're leaving your office to visit someone else in another location. So you're leaving it. Now, I think what you're talking about is when you leave home and you go to your office,
Or like go straight to a
and then you
client
leave
from
there, right? And even if you go straight to that client's from your home, you had to count it from your office. That's because you're leaving your office. Your office is here at home. So you're able to take that mileage from here to wherever your destination is. Yes, sir.
So say you were going to the grocery store. You meet up with somebody. You talk to them about the oils. They get really interested. They say, yes, I want to sign up. You say, okay, we'll come, we'll schedule a time, we'll sign you up. You go home. Do you count those miles? You went to the grocery store for something else.
You went there.
You ended up having, having a doTERRA meeting almost,
Right.
doing
Right there on the
something
spot
business.
while you were at the grocery
Yeah.
store.
Do you count those miles?
That's a gray area. And that's one of those areas where if I were to put on my IRS hat, I would say no. Because that the intent of you going there was for
the groceries, not
personal, and just because you were able to give your elevator speech right there, and all of a sudden they were hooked. They're like, oh, this is great. Business meeting, no. And then you write your groceries off, right? Because it was a business meeting. So I don't think that would fly with them. But I definitely see your point.
Well, piggyback on that, what if you were actually able to give off a sample
That's what I was about to say.
at that particular instance?
Again, it's a gray area because of your intent. Your intentions to go to the store.
You're 2 miles away from home. I mean, that's 2 miles.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Well, I did intend to go to the store to get samples, but then, I didn't
Okay.
get the environment right.
But you know what? If you're in a meeting and I do this several times, I'll leave my office to go somewhere and they're like, well, Jeremy, can I meet you? I just need to meet you here so we can, exchange documents or whatever. And that might be in the parking lot of some grocery store. That's fine. But if I know that my wife and I are going and we're shopping and all of a sudden, someone comes by and they look like they need tax help, I say, hey, you look like you need some help with your taxes. And I give them a card and they call me. You look like you're having IRS issues, so let's talk. So no, that wouldn't work. But
Going from mileage, go back to cell phones.
cell phones. Now, that's another gray area because most people have my cell phone is 100% business, and I'll tell you how I substantiate that. Because that's what I use it for, my business. If I did not have this business, I would probably still have a cell phone, but my plan would probably be like $3 a month or something like that. And so little things like that really don't add up to a lot. It's a gray area, but you know what? I plug it in as business expense. I'm just being honest. And I don't think that would really be an issue.
That's what we
Cell
were
phone.
looking at this week, because
But-
everybody I talk to or text is in my business or in the business. I don't know, but 1 or 2 that I talk to 15 minutes a month that are not in doTERRA. So we were wondering about that very thing.
I would. Definitely especially having a mobile business that you do, you're constantly going out. I would definitely use that as a business expense. Exactly. And then on the flip side, you could do a percentage. And then on the flip side, looking at your home phone use, because some use like our phone, for instance, we would have actually cut our phone off.
Except for the
But
fax.
I need it for a fax
For the
line.
fax, yeah.
So now I have
But
another plug. Everybody's
there's a-
getting plugs today. Magic Jack
There's a workaround.
that I use, and I pay $40 a year,
Yeah.
and that's my sole fax line, and that's it. So
The workaround options are becoming more available. If you've got a scanner, which you gotta have to have for a fax machine anyway, you can now scan to your computer, and there are fax options directly from your PC that require no phone.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can refax it right through the internet.
right, you can't do that. You can't do
Running
that.
office space.
Office space. Now they just changed that this year. Before you were able to take the the percentage of that space, and then the square footage of that space, and then the square footage of the entire home, and then take that percentage. And so let's just say, like this front area here, let's just say that's 8% of the home. Thank you. Let's say that's 8% of the home. Then you can actually take 8% of utilities, 8% of your, if you have a phone that you're using for everything, you can take 8% of that, 8% of your security service that you use. So you can use that percentage for the write-off for the home. Now they have this, and they try to make it sound like they're really, they have the safe harbor thing that they use now, where it's like a $1,500 flat deal that they're using to actually give you, to take that credit now for office use in the home. So it changed up a little bit, but it's still kind of the same concept.
So so you're saying when we're doing our taxes, that there'll be a deduction or whatever that you can say, did you use a room in your home as an office for personal business? Yes, and it takes $1,500.
Right. It still has some questions to kind of verify and things like that, but then it gives you that. Now, what the IRS, here we go again, what the IRS wants to see is they want to see that you have a space that is separate and apart and exclusively used for your business. You do not necessarily have to conduct meetings in that area, but use as storage, or just files, and that's where you go to do all of your work. You can't say I sit on the couch while I'm watching the game and I'm doing business, so I'm going to use the entire living room. We cannot do that. That would not fly. Yes.
Does it have to be an actual room, or what if it can't be like a space? Like I have a desk in my bedroom, but that desk is my work.
It can be a space.
Oh, yeah, because a lot of people don't have a house that.
You don't have to
But
have
as
it
you,
separated?
it doesn't have to have a closed door, and that's what they really like to see.
I mean,
If
you
can
could
show
even put
them
like one
that.
of those screens.
Right, if you can show them that, that'll please them quickly. But if you have a little area of storage, or some people just use their garage, they don't even park in there anymore because they have product in their garage that they're storing, which is hard to do in Texas with the fluctuations, 75 today and 12 tomorrow. So that's an area that they'll use, so it doesn't really have to be a set apart space.
What if your husband sits behind you on the couch and watches TV while you work in that little room?
Kick him out, he's in your office.
You can't watch this. We do it for TV,
Yeah, they get very specific when it comes to that home office. Because so many people are doing it.
Look at our program. She probably won't mind it.
People are doing it. So I think I'm about to run out of time. So are there any other questions?
Are there more specific things that we should be logging?
You definitely want to log, of course, we talked about the car, we talked about just calculate the house, but anything that comes out of your business account that you're going to set up with Wells Fargo or someone else, anything that comes out of that account, you want to track, okay?
Well, there's one important thing for us is going to be accounting for our oils.
Oh, yeah.
Because, we may spend $200 a month in oils, but we probably give away 150 of that in samples. So, and then, so which of those are, what portion of that do you create an inventory and pull it out of inventory and expense it that way? Some of it we're going to use personally, but most of it we're giving away. And then like with LLV, you're not giving any of that away, so that's going to have to be personal. So I would say don't try to write off the LLV.
You can't write it off when you're doing LRP, so then you have to decide whether you're going to take the higher taxes or,
Yeah, there's a check mark.
you can't write off that first $100.
Well, but that's sales tax.
Right, but if you're using it for personal expense, you can't write off any of your order.
Okay.
So you have to uncheck that.
So we have these little sample bottles that we give oil away in, and we put so many drops in it per bottle. Would an inventory of that be how many we have and how many drops go in each bottle? Would that we need that detail?
With my clients that have inventory, unless you have a massive inventory, typically what I have my clients do is expense it when they make the purchase.
Right.
Okay? So instead of saying, well, now I have $750 in inventory and I did a drop, so now it's $749.75. So instead of doing that, when you make the purchase, that's the expense. When you sell it, that's the income side of it.
My concern is getting in front of the IRS, and you say, okay, we bought this much for personal use and this much, And this
Easy.
we gave away, but
And-
we're going from the same bottles.
And when it is for personal use, then you have to take that out.
Easy fix.
You have to take that out.
Easy fix.
Buy extra.
One order,
A month for personal.
not even per month, per quarter. Go out and buy yourself 3 bottles of peppermint, 3 bottles of lavender, 3 bottles of lemon. Expense all of that. And then if you happen to also include a drop of this or a drop of that, and you maybe use a drop of your peppermint, that's not, there's no way going to tell. No one's going to come in and say, this bottle was used for your personal use. But if you've got that as a fully wholesale purchase for business use, you uncheck the box for that order. That order is business use. That order becomes your expensed business use. Those are your principal samples anyway.
Just uncheck it for everybody.
Just check it for that order. Not even your necessarily your monthly order, an extra order, and there's your business expense. And it's a completely separate purchase.
Well, the stuff that you buy for personal use, they're charging you sales tax on, right? So you can still use it as a business expense, and then you can go back if you want to and try to get some of that sales tax back from the government.
You can, but it'd be very, very painstaking to do so.
It's probably better just to uncheck it.
Just uncheck it for an order. Order an order that's for the business.
Less you can mess with the sales tax, the happier you're gonna be.
Yeah,
And so how will that change your order?
the tax is gonna be different.
Okay.
Retail sales.
But it'll also be indicated that this was not for personal use. The order will show up separately. And you can have that one order and you put it in your business account column. Boom.
I think you're saying it's not worth it because then you have 2 shippings and then you're wiping
$10?
tax benefits. You're wiping out your tax benefit.
Not if you join freeshippingrewards.com.
You can't do that.
We're working on it.
Do you have 2 businesses, 2 accounts, like the bank accounts?
Are they separate? Are they completely different businesses? If you have a used car lot and a landscaping
No,
service.
they're both like sole proprietor, they're both very similar. It's like a blogging business
Okay.
online.
Does it have anything to do with your,
A little bit, because I do blog about the essential oils and,
then it's up to you.
okay.
It's
so I do-
it's at your discretion. It's at your discretion. And what you can do with your bookkeeping is just say that this was for the blogging piece and this was for, actual sales
There's one
of
actually
product.
had this activity. but
Right.
I, for doTERRA, it's just under my social.
Okay. So you can do either one. You can do either one. And I will say this, I will put this out there, and of course, I would love to work with anybody, but in your business that you're in, please get with a financial advisor, please get with
The $10 shipping is deductible.
get with it, yes, it is. And get with a tax preparer that kind of knows the ins and outs of all this that you're doing. And it's good to work with someone that is familiar with this industry, this side of the industry. That's key. That's key. And that's an investment in itself, but it's also tax deductible. So be sure to do that.
It's only $8.50.
Jeremy. Either way.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I did. I'm Larry. Thank you very
I know that was a lot of information to take in all at once. Let him kind of filter in. If you have more questions, we have access to him. I'm sure that he would love to help us. We have his information now on the front of that, so if you need to give him a call. All right, we're going to have our call to action. All right? So find your tickets. You're going to need them. Okay. First thing is, if you have any questions, remember you can go over and stick a post-it note on, put your name and your email, phone number, however you want us to get a hold of you, stick it over there. Somebody will follow up with you. Door prizes. So we're going to do a couple of door prizes today. So let me tell you what we've got. All right, this is a bag of drug paraphernalia. No, I'm kidding. It's got some sample bottles, it's got some roller bottles, it's got a couple of spray bottles. You need to get the tickets and read me off one, baby. You can mix up. This has got a little nasal top on it so you can put oils up your nose. All right.
This ticket is 494.
Who's got it? 494.
494.
Rachel, what do you think?
It's on the left.
Do you have Tony's ticket?
Oh, if somebody says it's mine. 'Cause
Do you have your ticket?
Buy your ticket, it's $4.94.
Going what? Where's my pocket?
They didn't want it?
I've got its replacement in my hand.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and call the next one while we're waiting. Okay, who has tried the peppermint beadlets? Who loves peppermint beadlets? Who wants to win peppermint beadlets? Okay, so what you got?
490. Who's
I think it may be Tony. We'll make
a couple after me?
So, peppermint beadlets.
Number 504.
All right, Joel.
Those are just about the same price as pure peppermint.
All right, let's do these today. The A to Z guides. Has anybody seen one of these? And these are powerful tools to give away with. A sample has all the different health issues. I have had people say to me, I didn't know you could treat all of these things with oils. This is amazing. So this is a great tool. So you have 10 of them. So it gives you an opportunity to get 10 samples out. When you share 10 samples, law of averages, about how many people are going to want to get a wholesale account? Out of 1 out of 10. 2.
1 or 2.
Right? 1 out of 5. So that's a really great way, to get some people enrolled in your business. Okay, what's our number?
496.
Again, 2 away.
Who's got 496?
Nobody claims that we're going to draw.
I love free stuff.
Somebody like to have it?
It might be funny, she could have more than
The
one.
other number, the other number was 494, so probably is.
Okay, well, Tony doesn't want to win either of these. She puts them in. So
All
let's
right.
try the number.
All right, so the next
490.
one is 495. I'm kidding. Is 506.
506. One of the last people.
It's either a 6 or an 8 on the end, I can't.
They're really, really lousy prints. And get some better coupons next time. What's with you?
Okay. All right, so.
What is
really
it?
is 495.
Fractionated coconut oil and
All right, this is number 510.
Hey, that's Kim.
that's my birthday.
All right, okay. Now, I want to remind you that you get tickets for every class you have enrolled, right, between Super Saturdays to Super Saturday. What do you think we're doing that for? Why do you think it would matter?
I'm sorry, the secret to doTERRA was classes and enrollment.
You got it, okay. So you need to, when you come on the second Saturday of the month, you already need to have classes planned for the rest of the month and into the next month, right? Does anyone have a class already on the calendar for March? Oh, excellent. For March, yes. We have got to already start thinking about March, right? This is a business of sales. We have the end of the month, but we start the next month.
No, yeah, not
Intentions are
more.
fabulous. Put them on the calendar.
They are.
We've got to be
I
thinking.
sent them to him already.
Awesome. We've got to be thinking all the time about the future, right? Because our end of the month, and this is a short month, guys. So the end of the month is going to hit here really quickly. Now, Alicia did remind me that we think about the 28th as being kind of the end of our month every month anyway. That's what people's LRP needs to fire by. But this is a short month. So we got to be thinking about next month already for people who want to get on the calendar. They're like, oh, can't till March 1st. Done. Let's do it. All right?
Good point. The 28th is the end of the month. Can they fire us like this 28th in February, or you can take it back to 26th?
No, 28th. We can still do it till the 28th. That's why they pick the 28th of every month, because there isn't a month that's less than that. And we have a class today at noon, so all of you are welcome to stay for that class. Tony has gone to drop sandwiches off for Disciple Now students, so they will not starve to death. She's coming back. She's going to teach that class for us. It's going to be just a basic intro to oils class. So if you have not had an opportunity to come to one of those, or if you would love to sit through one, or if you have somebody coming to join you, we will always have a class every Super Saturday at noon. So you can always have people come and meet you here. All right?
Will it always be an intro class?
Sometimes it'll be a medicine cabinet makeover or an intro. We did the Slim and Sassy with an intro last month. So because of the challenge that was going on, you could join the Slim and Sassy challenge.
But it'll have an intro information.
It'll always have
So
some basic
anybody-
information, so a brand new person can use. Absolutely. All right, so we're gonna close,
If anybody wants to take their 10 or 15 minutes and look at the computer on the Google Calendar thing, it's here. I can show you what you're going to actually see on the screen if you haven't connected your accounts yet.
All right, so we're gonna close, Lance is gonna close us in a word of prayer. We are a team of faith, and we are building our team, on our faith, and so we're gonna let him close us in prayer.
Heavenly Father, Lord, we are grateful for this day, and we are grateful for this opportunity to come together and share ideas and hear from Jeremy. Help us start getting prepared, if not for this year, for next year, and just being exposed to a lot of good information that we can use in our businesses. Lord, I just, again, was grateful for this opportunity, and we just love you, and we just pray this in Christ's name. Amen.